Good afternoon, everybody. It is Orkata, and we are going to be resuming where we left off last week with development of our native issue tracker with Composr CMS. So we have been working on a native issue tracker for the Composr CMS free and open source content management system, which is a piece of software that you can put on your website or your server rather to create your own website. And the Composr CMS is free and open source, so you can see and modify the code as you wish, and you don't have any upfront licensing fees like a lot of other software does nowadays. You don't have any subscription costs or anything like that either if you wanted to use it. But of course, the caveat with the free and open source software is that you are on your own when it comes to its use. There is no warranty, and support for such software is really up to the people who use the software itself. So a lot of the free and open source softwares out there will have a website of some sort with a forum or some place for people to collaborate on issues and anything that they need help with. So, as you could see at the top of my screen, there is a countdown timer. As you may or may not have known, I am doing something called No November, which stands for No Sexual Assault November. There have been some concerns across some of these streaming platforms, particularly with Twitch and also recently with the YouTube, with the people getting sexually assaulted and the platforms not doing enough to serve justice against the perpetrators. So in the instance of Twitch, we had the TwitchCon a few weeks ago, where a popular streamer by the name of Emiru got sexually assaulted on stage at the meet and greet, and there were no event staff or security around to stop the incident. The only person that was around to stop it was Emiru's personal bodyguard or security. Then there was the Posse Clan member Sed, who was getting sexually assaulted live on stream by a couple of women. And then most recently on YouTube, there was a not really necessarily pertaining to sexual assault directly, but there was a YouTuber who was streaming some really strange content involving minors, let's just put it that way, and YouTube took their good time before finally taking action against the channel. So my case is the point that the platforms need to be more proactive in punishing sexual assault on their platforms, and also PDF files. Unfortunately, we, as the streamers and the viewers, do not necessarily have the power to really do much in terms of the platforms and what they do, but what we could do is raise awareness that this is happening, and then do something that we have control over. And in this case, I am raising money and funds for the RAINN organization, which is a national organization that provides services for those who have been survivors of sexual violence. So the way that it works is that the start of every stream during November will have a countdown timer that starts at roughly a minute and a half. I added an extra 10 minutes on the timer to account for the intro and then the midstream break that I take. And if you go to the link in under the timer, you'll read a little bit more about the No November. And then there is a link to donate to Rain, a Tiltify link. And for every $1 that you donate to RAINN, 3 minutes will be added to the timer. And I will stream until the timer runs out. So that is how it works. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of today's stream. So as you may or may not know, I am working on a native issue tracker for Composr CMS to replace what we currently have, which is an integration with the Mantis bug tracker software. Unfortunately, as much as I like the Mantis bug tracker software, it's not liking me very well. I'm trying to maintain the integration of Mantis with Composr, but it keeps breaking for various reasons. And I have decided that considering that I am the only active developer right now on the Composr CMS software, that we need to kind of trim the fat, so to speak, on the software. So we are cutting out the Mantis integration, and I am working on a native issue tracker for Composr, and that is going to utilize Composer's catalog system, which is a nice little system where you can maintain custom data sets of various things, and also it's kind of like a database for your website. You could put it that way. So we've gotten to the point in the migration code where we are able to migrate some of the issues from the Mantis software over into this new native catalog-based issue tracker. So we have 2 dummy issues that are created in Mantis, and the migration code has successfully migrated them over. In addition, what I have done off stream is that I had worked on migrating all of the comments and bug notes over into the system. This is a meme kind of representing the current political climate here in the United States. So I am not going to comment too much on that. But anyway, point being that I have those migrating over successfully. But what we are going to work on today is a little bit different. We're going to change courses a little bit and work on something else. So I noticed when I was working on the catalog entry code override. So to give you a little bit of context as to what a code override is, you have the original code of Composr CMS stored in various directories throughout the install, but then you have other directories. Did the music player just crash? Oh, there we go. Okay, that particular track just had some dead silence in it. Anyway, there are additional directories within the install that end in _custom. And what you can do if you want to customize the Composr software is you could create files within those custom directories to kind of override some of the behavior within the Composr CMS. So for instance, if you create a file in a custom directory under the same directory path as the original file, and you named it the same, and then you defined a function with the same name, then what would happen is Composr would use that function, your custom function, instead of the original function within the Composr software. Now, why would you want to do this? Why would you not want to edit the original code? Well, that comes down to maintenance and upgrade. When you modify the original code of a software and then you upgrade it, you might lose your changes because the upgrade will overwrite the file with the changes that have been made in the software itself, and then you might lose your customizations. So that's what the code override, the custom files are for. What Composr does is it reads both the custom and the original file and intelligently merges them together and saves them into an underscore compiled file, PHP file, which is pretty cool. Barucha, hello, welcome into the stream. In my opinion, a CMS using global variables with PHP greater than version 5.5 is designed by someone who doesn't understand PHP or hates it. It is a CMS that will remain in the Stone Age. Yes and no. I mean, I could see we do have a test to make sure that we don't overdo it on the global variables. There are some security considerations you have to keep in mind when using globals. As for Composr CMS being in the Stone Ages, it does. I mean, developer-wise, you could probably say that it is a bit old in terms of its syntax, but it does work on modern servers. I have a couple of sites that are running Composr CMS on the PHP 8.4 just fine. So it does work on modern PHP, and there are a lot of. It has basically its own web application firewall built in as well. But you are right to some extent. If you do use globals, though, you have to be very mindful of their use. They could pose a security risk. Alright, so continuing on. So what we need to do is we need to we have an issue here with the code override system. So the way this works with the code override system is that let's say you want to override a class. Let me pull up an example for you here of a class that was overridden. Here's one. So Composr reads this. You have to name the class as, so in this example, we have a specific naming schematic for the classes in order for Composr to intelligently include and use the classes. So for hooks, for instance, you would start it with the hook underscore prefix, followed by the name of the directory in code in underscore case, snake case as you will, followed by the name of the PHP file. When you overwrite it, you replace everything but the first letter of the first word with X. That tells Composr that this is an overwrite, and then you have to extend it upon the original class. But then you also have to specify this up here at the top of the file for its original load first, and that tells Composr that it needs to load the original class into the compilation first before trying to load this in, because obviously if it tries to load this in first, you're going to get a PHP error saying that this class does not exist and has not been defined yet. Functions work differently though. So, I am going to pull up an override that involves a function. So here is a source's custom file that has a function in it rather than a class. And if we go into the original file, we have a function by the same name. So So the way that the Composr does this is that it loads the custom version in, and this ends up being that particular function. So the generate catalog entry title function ends up being run from the custom file that you create. And then what it does is when it creates the underscore compiled file, which contains the compilation of both your file, your custom file, and the original Composr file, it will rename the function within the original to non-underscore overridden double underscore followed by the name of the function. So it loads the custom in first, followed by the original. So it goes backwards when you're using functions opposed to classes. What if you want to override a class and a function? Well, then we run into an issue. And that's what we're going to resolve today. Sort of. We don't actually have a resolution for it, but we do have a workaround that I am going to implement. So, for instance, this particular file that I just showed you also has a class in it. But let's say I wanted to override something within this class. Like for instance, in my custom code, I want the title field to call some other function or something like that. Well, I can't override the class because I would need to do the force original load first. But then what would end up happening is the original generate the catalog entry title function would get defined instead of the custom one. And that would be a problem. So we need to implement a workaround for this, and what we are going to do is we are first going to create a test to search for instances where a file has both classes and functions in them. And what we are going to do is establish a new standard that you cannot have files that have both classes and functions within the same file. You need to separate them out into separate files. That way, we can resolve this discrepancy between the classes and functions when it comes to code overrides within the Composr CMS system. What I need to do, override the issues. This is the test that we use to test override issues. It grabs the files, and then we have a comment here from Barocha. This CMS is not available for Windows Server. You could run this on a Windows server on IIS. It is not available in the Microsoft Store, I don't believe, but you could download it and run it on Windows. Now, I personally have not tested it with IIS in particular, but as you can see, I am running Windows 11, and I am running Composr under the Uni Server 0 software. This is Composr CMS right here. So it does work under Windows. So it's just not listed in the store of extension POSIX. I am not familiar. What does so ext POSIX does not work in IIS? Is that what you're saying? Are you sure that you have the most recent C++ redistributable packages installed on your Windows? Because I had this issue with a couple of other PHP extensions on Windows. PHP would not run with those extensions because I did not have the latest C++ redistributable installed. So, do you think that may be possibly the cause? Okay, so what we have here is we have our test with the code override system, and we are looking. It has no build for Windows. Really? I could swear I have POSIX on my end. Let me check something. This is interesting. Give me one moment here. Okay, core PHP 8.3 extensions. Core 8.3. I am running 8.3 on my Windows machine, but I do have 8.4 on my Linux server. Extensions. POSIX. Oh, that is weird. We don't have POSIX listed. I am concerned about that. I do not have Docker. I am not running on Docker. This is interesting. I wonder if this is an obsolete requirement. Yeah, I get that. I wonder if that's an error. I wonder if maybe POSIX shouldn't be there as a requirement. Give me one moment here. I'm going to check for use of POSIX. Okay, it is listed as multi-OS compatibility issues. Composr Mobile SDK uses it, but that's a non-bundled add-on, so that wouldn't necessitate it being required. We have it commented out there. We have checks to make sure that the functions are available, and if they're not, then we fall back to just getting a blank FTP username. Yeah, we have guards for all of this. I don't know why we're listing it as a requirement. Let me keep checking into this. Okay, yeah, I don't see any reason why it should be listed as a requirement. Let me see what the website says. This is very strange that that got put in there. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. We do list it on the website as a requirement, but we have guards and everything in place and fallbacks in place in case if it's not installed. So like I said, I see no reason that it should be listed as a requirement. So I am going to remove that. Let me see here. Alright, we'll go ahead and remove that. The change will not take place until 11 Beta 9 is released, but once 11 Beta 9 is out, which should hopefully be later this month, then you should be able to use 11 Beta 9 without POSIX being installed. Like I said, I have no idea why that was listed as a requirement. Alright, so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to swap branches here for a moment. I have to stash changes. I need to switch to the home site branch, which is the branch that we use for the Composr homepage. And I need to remove all of those instances where we tell people that the postfix is required. This will be a text files. Oh, I have the match case enabled. That's why that's not coming up. Here it is. So remove that from the downloads page, extension requirement, and commit that. And then the next time I pull from Git onto the website, that change will take effect. I unfortunately cannot do it on stream because then I would expose the IP address from the control panel for the server, and I don't want to do that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and go back to our tracker branch where we are working on the native issue tracker. I'm going to put my stash back into place, and we are going to work on the issue with the code override. So what we need to do is we need to add a test that checks to see if a file has both the functions and the classes defined, and if that's the case, then we need to tell the developer that they need to separate it out into separate files rather. Let's see, this one checks the particular functions themselves, but let me see here. Are we ignoring? We're ignoring volatile files, floating and alien. I think we're getting custom files. I don't really think it matters all that much if we check for both. I guess it could matter because it doesn't really matter if they're mixed in together in a custom file, because you can't override a custom file with another custom file in Composr. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that the path does not contain _custom. That would indicate that it is already an override. Oops, actually that should be equals to false. We don't want to check the class and function mix-ins with the custom files. We only want to check them with the bundled original Composr files. I am going to use a bridge match instead of string position for checking if there is a class or a function, because I specifically want to do an assertion of beginning or start of line when checking for this. So we're going to do a start of line assertion and the word class followed by a space. The subject is, of course, going to be the code, which would be _C. And the check is that this is not a false. I'm sorry, this is not 0. I should probably do a greater than assertion instead of not equal to 0. And then we are going to do the same thing for function. Then we are going to assert that one or the other at least is false. Most developers don't need excessive braces, but I like to putting in braces for contextual reasons. Let's see, how can we communicate concisely to the developer that they need to separate these out? Let's see, file has both the classes and the functions defined. Separate these out so that one file has classes and the other file has functions. Otherwise, code overwriting may be difficult. In theory, that should be all that we need to do. But of course, I am going to run a check to make sure that this works, and of course, to actually look at to see what all files need fixing for the new requirement. Oh, I need to restart my web server. That could definitely help. Okay, so this is a synchronous test. Override issues. We'll probably either, assuming we don't get an error the first time, we will probably get a lot of failures, because there are a lot of files that I can think of off of the top of my head that have both classes and the functions defined in them. This is concerning. This should not be passing. I know for a fact there are at least a few files that have both classes and functions, so I know that this is not right. So my guess is there may be something wrong with the preg match. I could be confusing the regular expression with PHP regex. Let me just double check my syntax on that. Okay. Oh, I might need to enter multi-line mode? Aha, yes I do. That may be the issue. Start end of subject, start the subject. Okay, yeah. So multi-line mode. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go. That's what we wanted. We wanted these failures. Except I forgot to put in the path. So we don't know which files are failing. That could be an issue. Let's fix that real quick. And rerun. There's quite a few of them, which I expected. There we go. Alright. Now that we have that fixed, now that we know which files we need to edit. So now is the difficult part of editing everything. We have a cache on a function. I think what we're going to do is change the cache on behavior. That will be our first thing. So what I think I am going to do, cache on is basically you define a function name which is run to determine whether or not we cache this block. But it uses a global functions, so what I think I'm going to do is change it so that it behaves such that it uses a function on the class rather than a global function. Like a protected or private function. So I need to see where this is being used. We have a cache on could also be PHP code. This gets a little bit tricky because it could be raw PHP code or the name of a function. So it gets stored into the database. This is a test. Return function name. What can we do? This is going to be tricky because if we just put it in the class, that's not necessarily going to work. We need a way to execute it through eval. We don't have an instantiated method of the class. We don't have an instantiated class. We would have to make it static. That would be the best solution I can come up with. So it would be a it would be well, no, it would have to be public in order for this to work. It would have to be a public function, but it would have to be static. So public static function block a bottom RSS a cache on. And then we change this signature to use block bottom RSS : block bottom RSS cache on. That is my assumption as to the fix for this. What is interesting though is that info cache on, if it's a string, oh, but it could be an array. It's an array when we're defining a function, so this doesn't actually get to run at all. I did not catch that until now. I wonder if do-block get cache identifier is what we need. Here we go. Is array. Call user function. We don't have the class object, so we can't do. I've never used a static class call on call user function. I wonder if that's going to even be possible. I will have to do some testing after I make these changes. I would imagine you could, because if we define it as a static function, we should be able to just call it directly from the class object without constructing the class. So it's not something I've ever done before. Alright, so we need to do the same for main RSS. Make that a public static function. Change our cache on to be block main RSS ::, and the name of the function. I think there were a couple more that we need to do, so we will do that. Alright, public static, block menu, ::, and save. We have a site RSS block that we need to do this for. Public static function. Block side RSS ::, and save. Do we have any other ones? We have one more. I mean, this one's lower priority because this is a custom. This is a non-bundled add-on, but I am still going to do it anyway for consistency. Now we need a way to test this. We don't actually have a way to test this yet. I think what we are going to do, we're going to break this off into multiple if statements. We're going to break this off into a separate if block. A little bit of refactoring here, so bear with me. There we go. There's our A string. Then we do is array. We'll copy the debugger code. We'll do a call user function on cache on key 0. But don't we need arguments? I'm pretty sure you pass in. We have a map, the cache signature. Oh, we do. Okay, we do have map. We just use empty parameter. Okay, so we pass in map as the argument. And then we'll do an assert true on result. I am going to go ahead and take our midstream break here because we have some things that we need to do. So stick around. We'll be back in about 7 minutes or so to continue this.
Composr CMS. Your data, your privacy, your control. Build any type of website that you want. Make it run and look exactly how you want it to. And view and modify any part of the software code with Composr CMS. Composr CMS is free and open source software. You have full access over its codebase. You have full access and ownership over your data. You can find out exactly what Composr CMS is doing because you can see all of its code. And if you don't like something that Composr is doing, you can change it. Try finding that level of control in a lot of modern software and websites. Because Composr CMS is open source, you could see and modify what it does with your data. Composr CMS also has powerful privacy tools to help your site be in compliance with data protection legislation. There's an automatic privacy policy generator. There are settings to control the visibility of content. Members can download and purge their data. And there are advanced parental controls to control how children access your website. Make decentralized websites great again with Composr CMS. Right out of the box, Composr CMS offers many different content types that you can use to build a website exactly how you want it to. No longer do you have to piece together many different third-party add-ons or plugins in order to get a website the way you want it to. Everything works harmoniously. Composr CMS also comes out of the box with other useful features. We have tools to make installation a breeze. Support tickets allow members to privately communicate with you. You can add e-commerce functionality to your site, send newsletters to members, and more. Build your own social network with Composr CMS. We have standard features such as member profiles, user groups, forums, chat rooms, instant messaging, and private topics, but also unique features such as a point system, achievements, and karma. And with HybridAuth, members can log into your site using other social media accounts. Composr CMS conforms to a strict set of standards to ensure optimal performance and wide compatibility. Composr will run on most modern browsers and a wide variety of web hosts and servers. And the strict coding standards ensure that you can easily develop and expand upon Composer's current functionality. Composr CMS takes security very seriously. Out of the box, it has many different features to ensure your site is walled out from malicious actors. Composr has its own hack attack detection system to detect when somebody is trying to hack your site, and it will notify you and automatically ban them. Composr also has a health check system to inform you of detected site problems. Not to mention, Composr has strict content security policies, XSS protection, cross-site request forgery protection, session hijacking protection, rootkit detection, and more. Composr CMS also has out-of-the-box many security tools involving your users. There are a lot of tools for preventing spam, such as anti-spam heuristics to stop spam based off of behavior, block list integration to stop spammers based off of public spam block lists, and also spam black holes and CAPTCHAs to stop automated bots. There's a very in-depth permissions and privileges system to control what users can see and do. There's an action log so you can see what everybody does. You can investigate a user based off of username, member ID, email address, or IP address to see what they've been doing. And you can discipline unruly members using the warnings and punishments system. Also, if any of your members spot inappropriate content, they can report it to you through the support ticket system. Easily manage your website through the admin zone. There you can edit the site content, view various different logs, run wizards and tools, and control the configuration. When editing something, you will also be informed if another staff member is editing the same thing to prevent conflicts. A couple of other unique features of Composr CMS includes broken URL scanning and zones, which act like subsites. Composr CMS has several development tools to make extending or changing its functionality easy. Code overrides allow you to change the code of Composr by creating files within the custom directories without actually modifying the original code. This makes upgrading easier because you can diff the changes between your code and the original code. Or you could create hook files to extend existing functionality without needing to overwrite anything at all. And mini folders allow you to quickly create functionality without following Composer's traditional API or MVC formats. Composr comes with a basic code editor if you don't have a professional IDE. It has an advanced template editor where you can edit the look and feel of your site in real time. ResourceFS allows you to access your site's content as a virtual file system. And with the WebDAV add-on, you can use external tools such as CyberDuck. Commander is a command line environment for Composr CMS. Profiler APIs allow you to track memory use and time commitments on different operations, and the testing platform add-on allows you to run automated tests on the software to ensure you don't break anything. That concludes this intro video for Composr CMS. Why don't you give Composr CMS a try? You can download it for free at composr.app. And if you need any assistance, or if you find any issues or have any suggestions, look under the support item on the menu of the site.
Sorry about that, my microphone wasn't working. Let's try that again. Welcome back to the Composr CMS development stream. Sorry about the abrupt stepping away there. I had to step away for family to communicate for a moment, but we are back and we are going to finish off the coding here. So what we are doing right now is we are creating a test case for running on the cache on property of blocks, which when it's an array, it would call a function in order to determine whether or not that the block needs to be cached. The issue with this though, because we need to run the call user function in order to test the cache on, but I believe cache on returns a boolean. Oh, wait, no, it returns an array, I think. Okay, we might actually be safe then. Let me just, okay, yeah, it returns an array. Okay, for a second I thought we wouldn't be safe. If the function that is being called would have returned a boolean, then we would have no way of telling if the call user function failed. But since it does return an array, we can actually check on that. But we know that the function always has to return an array. There is no null in this case like there would be up here. So we just need the isArray check on our assertion. And then in theory, this should give us a sense if our changes will work. So this is an asynchronous test, so we're going to run that. And we'll see what do we get. Everything passes, we don't get any errors. Let me just confirm that it is actually calling these public static functions. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to throw an exit statement here. We'll just say yes. And if we get a yes on our output when we run this again, then we know for sure it is calling those functions. It is. So our coding is successful in that regard, but we're far from done because we have several other files that we need to separate the classes and functions. So let's rerun this test so we get an updated list. Alrighty. So we got an update now. Main staff checklist. Let's check into that one. So this one has some functions. It does have a function down here. Staff checklist time ago due. That is being used nowhere. I'll have to figure out where this is being used. It's being used in... Oh, it's a... Oh, I see. It's in a hook. Stop main checklist hook. Do we instantiate the class? Info seconds. In. No, it does not look like we do, so we need to make this a static function on the class. I'm just going to do that again. I'm not going to separate it in another file. Okay, so in theory, if we are calling this function, which was in this file, then this file would have already been loaded through required code and we would have access to the class. So that shouldn't be an issue. making all of these a static call. And that should resolve our main staff checklist item. Oops. Should close others. I think I'm going to make that test message a little bit more, because we've been doing, we've just been putting the functions onto the class as a static function lately, so in order to resolve the issue. So I'm just going to mention that that could be done as well. So I'll just put in, or put the functions on the class as public static functions. Could make this a public static function on the breadcrumb substitution loader class, and it shouldn't be an issue. You should still be able to construct the breadcrumb substitution loader class. And since the function would be static, it wouldn't be on the object. It would be, what I mean is it wouldn't be on the loader in this case. So it wouldn't take up extra memory, at least in theory. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll put this as a static, public static function. On is a class. Whoa, what the heck happened there? Let's try that again. I think I had a little bit of a keyboard issue. Okay. We have a public static function, and then we need to search for these calls. Oh, I need to grab the class name. I forgot to do that. Now let's go ahead and paste that in. Not all that important, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the comment anyway. Oh. I don't think I'm going to put it in the second instance. I mean, we know if we read this comment from the first time we see it that it is a static function on the class. And that should do it for breadcrumbs. I don't see any other functions. So that should resolve that file. And then we can move on to caches. I always like to rerun the tests just to be sure. Okay, so we are good on that, and next we go to caches. We have in init caches, we have the self-learning cache class. These functions do not necessarily relate to the static cache. So what I am going, or the self-learning cache. So what I am going to do is, in this case, we are going to separate the class out into another file. So I am going to create the file. We will call it self-learning cache.php. We need our copyright header. And then we are going to put the self-learning cache class into that file. Now, since the self-learning cache file was originally defined in the caches.php, we're going to make this very simple. We're just going to require code self-learning cache in the init function of caches. And that should be all that we need to do. So now whenever the caches file loads, it will also load self-learning cache with the defined class. I need to make sure that the package is correct. It is core, so that is good. Actually, do we? Okay, yeah, it is loaded down here. Alright, so yeah, we do need to require it in without any logic, because it is constructed without any if logic. Moving on to our next file. CMS forum email integration. The sources file in particular. This has classes. It has the forum email integration class. But it has an init. Actually, I need to add an exception for the init function. Because the init functions cannot be overridden. So it's fine if if there's an init function in the same file as a class. In fact, the code override issues tests for that, particularly right here. I could be wrong, actually. Hang on 1 second. Oh, this doesn't define. Function. How are we going to do this? We are just requiring lang encode for forum email integration, but there's nothing else besides the class. Could we perhaps get away with just moving this into the constructor? So what we could do is I have to remember, do we define okay, that's what I thought. It's just a public function. And then we'll just paste these requires in here. And in theory, that should be what we need to do. Of course, we need a PHP doc. I'm checking to make sure that we don't have any static functions on here. It does not look like we do. So in theory, like I said, this is an extension of email integration. So we also have to run construct on the parent. I don't think, they don't have a construct. So maybe I don't. Okay. So maybe we could just leave that out. Where does email integration come from? Comes from here. Okay. Comes from the mail integration file. So in theory, that should be the resolution. I don't see any case that we would need to load in those APIs or language files without first constructing the class. So that should be good enough. Now we move on to the parental controls file. We have a construct. I am going to move the language. Oh, this is going to actually be a little bit challenging. Oh no, I could do the same thing that I did before. Never mind. Okay, so what we are going to do is we're going to require laying CMS in the constructor, but I am also going to do it in load parental control setting, and the reason being is this is going to be merged into a public static function on the class, which means that it could be called without constructing the class, which means we need to, but this, we don't actually use the language file in the loading of the parental control, so I think it would just be good enough to load it in the construct. So I'm gonna take that to back. VS Code is struggling a little bit today. Alright, so there we go. And then we need to look for the cases where we are calling load parental control settings. That is now a static on the class. So we need to call it as a static. Right. And then let's just make sure this works by refreshing the home page of Composr, because I do believe that it calls the parental control system every page load in order to check that your profile fields, your required profile fields are filled in and that you are of age to visit the site. So we did not get any errors. Those previous errors are from when I had, it was from Ajax, when I had previously saved some code that was incomplete. It broke some of the Ajax calls. So we could ignore those. Let me see if there is anything else in CNS parental controls that we need to do. Does not look like it. We have narrowed it down to a class, everything on the class. So the next file, assuming that we are done with that one, will be Commander. Alright, we have a commander here. We have a virtual shell class, followed by a few unrelated functions, okay? Commander script as well. So what we are going to do is we are going to separate the virtual shell into a separate file. We're going to call it Commander Virtual Shell. The PHP. We need our copyright header. I'm just going to copy it from one of the other Commander files because that way then I have the correct package name for the file, which would be Commander. We need to go down to the bottom of the class, copy all of this virtual shell over into the file. Leave the functions in this file. Save. And then in our init right here, we are going to require it in Commander Virtual Shell. Although I want to see how we initialize the class. Admin Commander. Okay, so yeah, they are not only initialized within the Commander, but also initialized outside the Commander. So, oh, hang on 1 second. Perhaps we could adjust this a little bit. I need to find pre-run. Pre-run, we should have a required code. Oh, it's down here in run, just run. Do we need to initialize? No, it's just initialized in Commander script. Okay, so we're gonna make this a little bit more concise. We are not going to initialize the virtual shell on every time we call Commander because we don't need it every time we load in the Commander script. So what we are going to do instead is initialize it separately. Oops. Apparently I had the whole function copied already. So we have that taken care of. This is itself. We don't need to require itself. Commander script. We put the required code up here because I see a virtual shell being constructed there. Actually, I see a virtual shell being constructed in both if conditions, so what I'm going to do is move the required code outside of the if condition. So that takes care of that, and then finally we have this. But we don't need Commander anymore because it looks like we're just using the virtual shell. But does the virtual shell need Commander? I'm going to go off of the assumption that it does need Commander, so I am going to put the required code Commander within the virtual shell construct. I think I'm also going to put in require lang Commander just to be on the safe side. And then we could change this to just requiring virtual shell directly. Okay. That should take care of Commander. And we got the 20 minutes left in today's stream, but if you would like to see me stream longer, considering donating to RAINN, who provides services to survivors of sexual violence. For every US dollar that you donate, an extra 3 minutes will be added to today's stream timer. Just go to the link at the bottom of the timer or in the chat, and there is a Tiltify donation link where you can make your donation directly to RAINN, and then your donation will trigger my software and then add the appropriate time to the clock after about a minute delay. Okay, let's go to Commander FS now. This one has both functions and classes. Yes, it does, but it just has, an init function. Let me check to make sure that there are no static functions on the class. I don't think there are. There are not. So, we should be fine just copying the init code into the construct. Oops. Actually, now that I think about it, this could be a problem. We need an isset check on here. Not this set check, rather. Because we don't want to inadvertently empty this global if we happen to initialize this class more than once. And let me be sure that I'm not accidentally doing that for a couple of the other source files that we edited today. I think a breadcrumbs might have been one of them. No, it wasn't the breadcrumbs. It's not the caches. It was a form integration, but that one did not have any globals being initialized. So I think that the one is fine. CNS parental controls do not have any globals. This is the one we're working on now. The virtual shell also does not have any globals. So I think that one is fine as well. Okay. So we moved our init into the class for Commander FS. That should be all we need to do for that file. Next, we need to go into the database files, at least a couple of them. The first one being IBM. Alright, so what do we have here? We have our static, we have our database driver class, but we also have an init. Okay. Can we put this in a constructor? Yes, we could. Let me be sure that there are no static functions. There are not. So that one should be golden. Next, we need to do SQL Server ODBC. This one requires in a shared SQL Server file. And then this one also has an init that I think could be put into a construct. So I need to be careful about the construct because I do believe there is a parameter database prefix. Let me check SQL Server. Yes. So this is for ODBC specifically. We set our INI and then we're going to run the parent construct function. Actually, I think because of the nature of constructs, the construct might have to be run first. Which is fine because the construct just sets table prefix onto a property of the class. It doesn't do any operations. So that should take care of those two database drivers. Actually, let me double check to make sure there isn't anything else in this file. Does not look like it. So I think we're good with SQL Server ODBC. We'll go ahead and do a refresh here. Okay. XML apparently has something that has a lot of code. And actually, I've been debating whether or not I actually want to keep the XML database driver. So for now, I am just going to skip that one. Because it is quite possible that I am going to delete the XML database driver. It is quite broken. And it is not even available for use in the production Composr CMS. It only shows up as an option when you're running the development build of Composr from the Git repository. So I'm not even concerned all that much about the XML driver. Alright, so next we have database. This has database driver and database connector. I think I'm going to separate those out into two separate files. First off, database driver. And then we'll do database connector afterwards. But first, database driver. And I just noticed that I need to put in a check for abstract class as well. The only reason that one showed up is because database connector is not an abstract class. So let me fix the test case for that. Make sure that we are also checking for abstract space question mark. I think I'm also going to add in a check for static, even though I don't think we use static classes in Composr, but I could put that in there anyway. Okay, database driver, we have the database driver copied over. need to rename the package to core database drivers for this file. And then next we have database connector, and we need to create a new source file for that one. Once again, I need to copy the copyright, except this one is the core package. That is a pretty big class. It might actually be kind of a good thing that we are refactoring this out into a separate file. Okay, and then up here in our init database function, we're going to require both of those in. First, the database driver. And then the database connector. And we shouldn't need to do anything else because those would always be required in when we load the database file. Let me just be sure that nothing has been broken. Looks like the database is still working as intended, so that's good. Refresh our test. Alright, and now a couple of new files have popped up because I added those new abstract class checks into the regular expression. Okay, action log. Let's see what we have. Yes, we have an abstract class for the hook action log, and then we have init function. We have a function action log linkage. What's going on, Benjamin? Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on. How are things going on your streams lately? What we are doing, I'm actually kind of wrapping up the stream here, but what we are doing is we're working on Composr CMS, which is a content management system for building websites. We're refactoring out some code here. We're separating the classes from the functions into different files. Nice! Congratulations for reaching 100 followers on your stream. That's quite the milestone. I think I have about 13 more to go. The pinball is currently going very slow. Very slow, unfortunately. Part of it is because I have a bit of client work that I need to work on. So actually what I've been doing today and the past few days with Composr CMS is all leading up to the next beta version, 11 beta 9, which I need to finish in order to upgrade one of my clients' websites. One of my clients is going to fund me to upgrade their website. So there's that. And then I just had another client who wants me to rework their appraisal software a little bit because it's struggling to process images when they upload images. So I need to add in some sort of delegation to kind of process the images in the background instead of immediately upon upload so that it stops freezing. Anyway, the point is I have quite a bit of client work on my hands, and since client work pays my bills, but the pinball development unfortunately does not pay my bills, the pinball development has kind of taken a back burner for the time being. I hope to get back into it though later this month. I may periodically from time to time do a little bit of pinball work, but my main focus right now is trying to get these clients, get the work done for these clients. Alright, we got 5 minutes remaining in the stream. If you would like me to stream a little bit longer, check out the link below to read a little about my No-Savember. And what I am doing is I have a Tiltify link for you to contribute a donation to RAINN, which is an organization that provides services to survivors of sexual violence. And for every US dollar you donate, it will add 3 minutes to the timer. With that being said, we will continue. This one is a little bit difficult, a little bit complicated. I could refactor the hook action log class into a separate file. I may actually have to do that because these other functions have nothing to do with that class. I think that's what I am going to do. So what we are doing is we're refactoring classes from functions. We don't want functions and classes to exist in the same files. And the reason being is because Composr has this mechanism for being able to override its behavior without modifying the original code. But in order for it to work properly, the classes and the functions need to be separated out into separate files. Otherwise, we could have instances where your custom code could try to extend on a class that has not been defined yet, or some other weird stuff. You got the rest a little. Enjoy the rest of the stream and keep up the good work. Alright. Enjoy your rest, Benjabun, and I will see you again later. Alright, so I believe this was I have to double check here. Yeah, hook action log class. So I'm just going to create a new source file here. Call it action log hook. We'll paste the file in there, but I also need to, of course, copy the copyright header and paste it at the top. Like so. Oh, this is apparently a part of core notifications. That's wrong. That is not true. This is part of action log. I may need to write a little unit test to check for package names on classes to make sure that those are correct and consistent. Okay, we have our abstract class defined in action log hook. So now what we need to do is in our init function for action log, we will just require that new file in. I'm pretty sure we'll need to do it like this. I won't be able to just modify the actual action log hooks themselves to use the specific action log hook file. It will need to use the main action log hook, or the main action log file, in order to get the constants here, and also I believe a few of those hooks may also be utilizing these functions down below. Alright, we are coming up towards the end of our stream, so what I am going to do now is I am going to go ahead and see if we could find anybody to raid out. So I am going to throw this off screen for a moment. For those of you on Twitch, let's see if we have a channel that we can raid out. We have the Lazy Pander. We also have Birdsong. I think I am going to raid out the Birdsong because he is another fellow developer streamer. It doesn't look like he's developing right now. That's a little bit of a delayed alarm for my timer running out. It doesn't look like he is developing right now, but he is streaming Hollow Knight. So I am going to raid out to Peak Song for the Birdsong Technology for those who are tuned in on Twitch. Those who are tuned into YouTube, we'll see you next time. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and you got that in just in time. Thank you, Sign Out DK, for the dips. We will see you next time on my stream. Everybody take care. This stream will be available as a video on demand both on Twitch and YouTube momentarily. Be sure to check out my website at orkata.live, ORQATA.LIVE. We'll see you next time, and stick around. I am going to initiate the raid.